Hi everyone, this is an Amalgia video for Animal Crossing New Horizons on the Nintendo Switch, and today we're going to be talking about CJ and the fishing tournament. I'll start with a brief overview of CJ when he visits your town, and then talk about the fishing tournaments. CJ is one of the daily visitors that can appear in your town, and he is a good one to have if you're looking to make money. When CJ is visiting your town and not part of the fishing tournament, he'll issue you a sea sports challenge, and if you complete it, he'll buy any fish that you've caught and any fish you catch for the entire day for a whopping 50% increase in bells per fish. Now let's talk about the Sea Sports Challenge. When CJ was in my town, he asked me to catch 5 fish in a row without losing a single one. So you have to keep the chain, similar to that Nook Miles achievement. I've also heard of people getting catch a specific fish, but I haven't seen it myself. Catching 5 fish in a row without letting one slip isn't too bad in this game. The amount of time you have to reel in a fish after it bites is actually a little longer in this game than it has been in previous Animal Crossing games. If you're the kind of person who gets anxious watching the fish come in and out and playing the guessing game of whether it's going to bite, you can actually close your eyes and catch the fish when you hear the sound, and you have enough time to respond even for something like the coelacanth that bites very quickly. Another helpful fishing tip that was true in previous Animal Crossing games and is still true in New Horizons is that the maximum number of times a fish can tug at a lure without biting it is 4. This means that if a fish tugs at a line 4 times and then comes in for the 5th, on the 5th it will always be a bite. Once you complete the Sea Sports Challenge, head back to CJ and talk to him in order to unlock the ability to sell him fish for a 50% bell increase. When CJ appears in your town as a visitor, his location will be random, but he'll usually appear by a river. Another thing is that if you have rare fish in your storage that are worth a lot of bells and you decide that for one reason or another you don't need them and you'd rather have the money, you can trade them to CJ for the increased amount. The fish don't actually have to be caught that day in order to be able to make more money off them. Now let's talk about the other service that CJ offers when he's in your town. If you click on Make Me a Collectible and give him 3 of the same type of fish, he'll make you a collectible version of it that's a furnishing for your house, and he'll mail it to you the next day. Keep in mind that CJ can only make one collectible version of a fish per visit, so choose wisely. I had a friend who didn't know that and accidentally gave him 3 sea bass thinking they could collect them all, and it ended up being the ultimate useless irony. The great white shark in the middle of this picture is what I turned in and what the model looks like for your home. The other items in this picture we'll get to now as I transition into talking about the fishing tournament. The fishing tournament happens 4 times a year, one for each season, and each time it will be on the second Saturday of the month that it's in. So we're looking at April 11th, July 11th, October 10th, and January 11th for all the dates of the fishing tournament. On the day of the fishing tournament, CJ will be standing in your town's plaza. The tournament begins at 9 a.m. and runs until 6 p.m. I recommend starting early if you want to get everything that CJ has to offer. The rules of the fishing tournament are pretty straightforward. When you enter, the first time he waives the fee, but for repeat attempts the fee is only 500 bells, so it's not that expensive. But he'll give you a 3-minute time limit to catch as many fish as possible. He'll mention that you need to catch at least 3 fish in order to get a bonus, and then he gives you points based on the number of fish you bring in. Unlike normal fishing, every time you catch a fish, it gets transported to his cooler, and you can either choose to take them out of the cooler and put them in your inventory, or automatically sell them to him for the increased 50% bells. The way the points break down is basically he'll give you 1 point per fish. The bonus that he mentions when you catch 3 fish counts as an extra 2 fish. So if you catch 3 fish, you get 5 points. And then after that, every additional fish is just 1 extra point. So 4 fish is 6 points, 6 fish is 8 points, 7 fish is 9 points, 9 fish is 11 points, so on and so on. I recommend to fish in the ocean since the fish are a little bit more predictable, and river fish aren't too bad, but I would avoid ponds and other things like that as the fish like to turn around a lot. Hopefully the body of water you choose to fish at isn't too far from the plaza to cut down on your travel time. Fish bait can cut down on travel time, but it's not as helpful as you would think for this event. It can sort of speed things up, but really you don't need to waste your time or fish bait on it. The only reason I'd recommend using fish bait for this event is if you're really running close to the 6 p.m. time limit and you want to speed things up. Fish spawns aside, there's still a little bit of luck involved in this event. Fish that bite on the first tug of the line are going to be more useful to you. That's another point. The quality of the fish you catch does not matter for this event at all. It's all quantity. So you could catch all sea bass and still get the same amount of points as if you caught all barred knife jaws. If you are using fish bait, I would aim for trying to catch 8 fish a round because that'll give you 10 points a round, and that every 10 points you can trade for an item from CJ. Another thing to keep in mind is that CJ will stay in your town until 8 p.m. or so, but he stops buying fish from you after 6 p.m. This is much different from when CJ is a visitor in your town because he'll wander around town and buy fish from you until about 5 a.m. Not taking into account running times, it's actually possible to reel in a fish from cast to catch in about 12 to 14 seconds. That number also assumes some early bite times. If the fish draws it out to the 5th bite, then it's going to extend your times a lot. Something else to keep in mind is that if you're doing this event in April, it's still possible to catch eggs as if they weren't annoying enough, so keep that in mind when you're choosing your shadows to cast at. And the eggs don't count towards your fish total, unfortunately. If you're taking a lot of time or struggling with the event, don't really worry about it because you can enter as many times as you want up until 6 p.m. And even if you're pushing the 6 p.m. limit, as long as you start around before 6 p.m. rolls, they'll let you finish it after 6 p.m. Another point that can be a little frustrating sometimes is that a fish doesn't count as caught until it hits your character's hand, so reeling it in isn't enough, as you can see here. When you run out of time, a banner will run across your screen telling you that it's over, and then you have to go back to CJ in order to clear the cooler, sell the fish, and re-enter the tournament. We already talked about how many points fish are worth, but now let's talk about how many points you need in order to get everything from CJ. It's possible to get all the furnishings and clothing items from CJ with a total of 130 points. CJ will pick which items to give you, but you don't need to worry because he won't give you duplicates of any item until you already have all the items that he offers. Here's a look at all the furnishings and clothing items that you can get from CJ. There's also a fish wand, but I forgot to put it in the room when I took this picture. It basically looks like that fish rug, but on the end of a stick. So to name the items, there's a fishing rod stand, that's on the left. There's a fishing door plate, that's the red on the wall. There's a fish print, that's the larger painting. There's a tackle bag, which is the bag on the left. There's a fish pochette on the right. There's a fish umbrella, a fish tee, and then there's an anchor statue, a cooler, a dried fish rack, and then a fish rug. Other than these items and the wand, he has 3 secret items that he can give you based on the number of points you catch. If you catch 100 points, he'll mail you a bronze statue. If you catch 200 points worth of fish, he'll send you a silver statue. And 300 points worth of fish, he'll send a gold statue. And I think that these points have to all be caught in the same day, as it would reset after the day rolls. And that's really all there is to this event. I hope this video helps you become a fishing tournament master, and thanks for watching.